Hi, second graders. Do you remember that we talked about that sometimes authors have intentions? They have things they want us to actually notice. And we said that we can, when we hit a part that is powerful, like really makes an impact on us, that we should ask ourselves, why is that so powerful? And then how in the world did the author make it so powerful? Today I want us to look at one example of that in our little lesson. Do you remember that we read a little bit of Owl Moon by Jane Rowland yesterday? And we talked about that the author made it powerful, and I gave you the example of how she made the owl sound, woo, 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 right? And so now what I want you to think about is let's look at page 1. Okay? Now, think about this page as I read it. Do you think it's powerful? So what is powerful on this page? Why do you think it's powerful? And then how did the author make this amazing, powerful moment? So let's read. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Pa and I went owling. There was no wind. The trees stood still as giant statues, and the moon was so bright the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us a train whistle blew, long and low, like a sad, sad song. Ooh, can you put yourself into that picture? You can pull up things that you've already experienced. Like when I stand and think the trees stood still as statues, ooh, that just speaks to me because I have been in a situation where the trees were so still that you could totally see and understand what this author is talking about. So let's look at this page just for a minute. That what is powerful on this page? I think the descriptions are super powerful. And I think that it is powerful because it makes me feel like that I am in the book Owl Moon. Like I can picture myself in that forest and with all that snow around me and how still the wind was. And then ask ourselves, how did the author do that? Well, they told us exactly what they see, hear, and felt, don't they? And they use comparisons. So look here. There was no wind. The trees stood still as giants. Ooh, as giant statues. Sorry, didn't finish that. Do we all know what a statue is? They don't move, do they? They stand perfectly still. So the trees stood still as giant statues. Can you see that in your mind? How still the trees are? That means there was zero wind, right? So the author used comparison. They compared the trees to giant statues. So that was one way that this author made this a very powerful moment, right? And then it says, and the moon was so bright the sky seemed to shine. The last few nights, Mrs. Winters has looked out in the night sky and the moon has been incredibly bright. And it was almost like you didn't need any kind of flashlight or anything outside because it was so very bright. I can see this in my mind's eye, how bright that moon was, because I can relate it to what I've just seen. So again, we compared it. The moon was so bright, the sky seemed to shine, right? So then, somewhere behind us, a train whistle blew long and low like a sad, sad song. Oh, have you ever had a really sad song that you listened to? And what does a train sound like when you hear it a long way off? Woo, 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 way far off, right? Kind of like a sad song. So again, the author compares the train whistle with a sad, sad song. Boys and girls, today in your reading time, I want you to see if you can find some comparisons in your book that you are reading. Is there a place that the author described something to you and mentioned one thing in comparison to another? I want you to see if you can find one of those places in your book today as you do your independent reading. The other thing that's really cool about this is you can start putting these things in your very own writing as an author. So maybe in your writing, you can start trying to put some comparisons in there. You know, I was as cold as an ice cube, right? Does that tell the reader exactly how you felt? Yes, that is a comparison. So as you're reading today, please find a place where you can see some comparison. And then also, as you're writing, try to use a comparison in your writing. Y'all are doing a great job, second graders.